Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good, man. You know, we are approaching the halfway point of the season, and some of us need to revamp our squads to get back into the win column. Others want to get ready for a long fantasy football playoff push. We're talking keep or trade, players that are on the values, trending up, trending down. Who should we be moving? Who should we be keeping? And how can we recoup some of this value coming from the offseason due to the ADPs, due to the, play that is not necessarily, abundant at this point, and some of these guys that are hitting on the big notes. We talking running back first, Josh Jacobs. It's a big one for me because he has been somewhat underwhelming overall. His ADP at the start of the season was a running back 10, and he is not producing to those levels. While the consistency boom rate is at the 66.7 right now, that is not terrible. That means that 4 out of 6 games, he's been doing pretty well. He's just not giving us the top-end ability that we love to see. Yes, the Jordan Love injury did derail this a little bit. He had one contest where he was running wild, lots of volume, but there's so many mouths to feed in this Packers offense. Eventually, as the season does wear on, we will see them run the football quite a bit in Green Bay, I do believe. But I mean, there's so many wide receiver options here that they will continue to pass the football. Right now, 66 points on the season ranks him as the running back 20, y'all, and which does give me the trend of an up and down for him right now. I'm not over the moon on Jacobs like I was at the beginning of the season, but I mean, he's done enough to keep us steady. He's just not doing the business to give us the victory and him carrying our teams like somebody like a David Montgomery like we had hoped he would be. Anyway, 108 attempts for almost 500 yards. The reason why he's not booming as much as we want is because the TD productivity is not here. On the goal line, he's been stuffed so many times this season. They continue to pass the football. Even inside the 10-yard line, they're throwing the football more than they are running because they know Jacobs has not been that productive inside the red zone. So what am I saying? Trade and upgrade. Abso-freaking-lutely at this point, we could trade and upgrade a better running back. Even if you have to add another piece to this deal to get yourself somebody like a David Montgomery, somebody like a Breece Hall, etc., you can absolutely do this. You wouldn't have to necessarily sell the farm with that sweetener. You can just add another player, whether it's a wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, whatever it is. You trade to upgrade a Josh Jacobs right now. It may come back to bite us, but I'm telling y'all right now, I would absolutely love to upgrade the running back spot with a Josh Jacobs right now, just based on productivity. Kyren Williams, Los Angeles Rams, coming off the bye week. And I mean, it's a pretty fair standard right now. The ADP was running back 8 coming into the season. He is currently running back 4, even after the bye week, man. He is absolutely killing things. Kyren is that dude. Even with all the injuries to Cooper Kupp, to a Puka Nacua, he is still doing the business for us. And I mean, Blake Corum is definitely in the waiting, and they did sprinkle some usage in. So maybe that is a sign of things to come this season as we continue to move on while they try to, at least pull back some of the touches for Kyren to keep him healthy. But I mean, a 1-4 Rams team is not necessarily going to the postseason at this point, but they will continue to move the football. 90 points on the board, 100% boom rate for a Kyren Williams. We got to keep, and you do not move this man. There is no way we can move him. You're not going to recoup any value, even if you are going to get maybe, 4 players, 3 players for a 1. The only reason I would even consider trading a Kyren Williams at this point is if you are losing and you got to recoup and try to save your season. That's the only way I'm doing it, but you got to get a king's ransom on the returns to actually perform this trade. Kyren has been too good and too solid. Even with a struggling Rams team, like I'm saying, he has been so damn good. 7 TDs on the season, 6 rushing, 1 receiving. It's just that's where he's carrying a lot of our teams, man. Inside the 5-yard line, he is absolutely automatic, and you could be making those anytime TD point totals skyrocket every single week. I think it's absolutely going to continue, even if they do insert a Blake Corum to at least remove some touches. You're keeping him, and you're definitely not moving him because most teams that have a Kyren have a winning record at this point outside of drastic injuries. Michael Pittman, wide receiver time. Okay, Indianapolis Colts, very strange. This past week, they were discussing the fact that he may go on to the injured reserve, miss the next 4 contests due to that back injury. He says he's going to test it out. He ends up scoring a touchdown with Joe Flacco. Old balls Flacco, he does. It is what it is. But, the thing is, the situation in Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson is going to be returning this week. Apparently, he is good to go. This is going to downgrade every single wide receiver on this team. Flacco brought some relevance to Josh Downs, to a Michael Pittman. The run game still inconsistent without a Jonathan Taylor, him dealing with injuries. Michael Pittman right now, he was the ADP wide receiver 23, currently sits at wide receiver 34, y'all. It is not good news, no bueno. The only time he's been hitting is because of somebody like a Joe Flacco at this point, 50% boom rate, but it does not necessarily correlate to the point totals of 51.8 that he is producing for us right now. Anytime I'm a fan of Anthony Richardson, I'll caveat that, but he still is very raw, and he needs to understand how to spread this football around to all the multitude of wide receivers and playmakers he has on the field. So far, we have not seen it. I am absolutely trade a package deal with a Michael Pittman to get him off my roster. He is an absolute liability right now. Even when you do play him, what are you getting? 6, 7, 8 points unless he finds his way into the end zone. It is not a good situation. 42 targets, 25 receptions, only 2 TDs and less than 300 yards is not a player I want on my club right now. Trade a package deal with him somewhere, or with someone with him, I should say, and bring back somebody, whether it's a running back or another wide receiver that is producing a lot better points. I will absolutely do this on the regular when it comes to a Pittman. Unless Anthony Richardson goes down with injury, we never, root for injuries here, but I'm telling y'all, it is a detriment to this wide receiver room at this point, and Michael Pittman will only continue to disappoint with an Anthony Richardson at this point. Chris Godwin, baby, he is flying up the trends. I got double ups on this guy because he's absolutely killing it. One of these guys was one of the late round picks, wide receiver 35 for these Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the ADP coming into the season. He currently sits as wide receiver 2. Unbelievable return on investment right now. The trend is absolutely flying up. Baker Mayfield is supporting this offense in big ways. Mike Evans did go down with that injury this past contest, and I mean, he'll be back. I'm sure. Haven't seen anything to suggest otherwise at this point, but even if he doesn't, Chris Godwin, he just continues to get open. He continues to make plays. 53 targets, 43 receptions, just over 500 yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. Just absolutely killing it right now, Chris Godwin. He is one of these guys you would have gotten him later in your fantasy football drafts around round 6, round 7-ish. And I mean, I'm telling y'all, he is carrying your squads, giving you that extra oomph you require, and putting your point totals, your total point totals, into the good positives. You absolutely keep a Chris Godwin and do not move this man for anything at this point. I am absolutely keeping him. You do not trade players that are consistently weekly giving you the point total. 67% on the boom rate is a good sign, man. He only missed the 2 contests he did miss, was just a couple points under that threshold of a boom game. So he could be at 100% clip right now as well. But I'm telling y'all, he has been so good. 102 points right now on the season. Wide receiver 2, you cannot move this man for anything because it is far too good. Next one on the board is a Keenan Allen, Chicago Bears. Stumbling all over myself right there, but I'm telling y'all, he has been one of these situations in Chicago. I was lukewarm, but the best part of it is when you're evaluating team dynamic and how they are progressing, you want to see a team on the right direction, beating clubs they should be beating. And we just saw in London, Caleb Williams and company absolutely torch those Jaguars. Caleb had 4 TDs, finally found a Keenan Allen for 2 tutties himself. Doesn't necessarily make me feel all warm and fuzzy. It came at the expense of a DJ Moore. Cole Kmet 8, and DeAndre Swift continues to move forward. Rome Odunze still not there for, consistent point totals. But the issue I have here, it's going to become a headache and a problem even if Caleb does play at the same facet he played this past week, because there are so many mouths to feed. Like I said, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore. There are so many mouths, and as this rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams, continues to progress and find his stride, you will have the situations where you're going to have to keep guessing each and every week. Who do I play? Yes, I understand the standards likely are the DJ Moores first, the DeAndre Swifts, and then it's going to be who do we decide to debate this week, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, or Aroma Dunze. Right now, he did play very well, scoring 2 touchdowns. His value is trending in the right direction, and I would definitely capitalize on this on a wide receiver hungry team right now. You trade, sell high on a Keenan Allen right now. I understand it's only one game. You're not going to get the total value back. He was coming into the season as ADP wide receiver 36. He currently sits as 69er, man. It is no good. And I mean, again, you're going to struggle every single week to find a place to play him with heavy levels of confidence. 25% on the boom rate, only 31 points, and majority of that came in this past contest versus the Jaguars. I do not like what's going down with Keenan Allen. If I'm you, I'm trading him. I'm trying to sell him on the high. You may have to package a deal as well, but getting him off your roster, even if he does explode down the line, that is perfectly fine. As long as I can get someone with higher levels of consistency, I'm much happier for it. Last one is Brock Bowers, tight end, Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, generational talent, we throw that term around quite a bit, but he is, looking the part every single week. Okay, the Davante Adams situation will get resolved, I'm sure, before the trade deadline. Whether or not he gets moved or he stays as a Raider for the remainder of 2024-2025, Brock Bowers is here to stay. And I'm telling you right now, 67% on the boom rate for a rookie tight end. He was the ADP 11 tight end, and he sits currently as the tight end number 2. You cannot get this value. Return on investment is absolutely pluses and aces for a Brock Bowers at this point. 64 points, it's not a great deal. Tight end has been a massive issue this year. Not necessarily used enough for a majority of the league. I mean, you could basically roll into the end zone 5 times this season as a tight end, and you will finish as a top 8 tight end on the season. So, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt, but we got to get, in the aggregate, the most points we can possibly get on return. 46 target. The target share is here for a Brock Bowers, whether it's a Minshew, whether it's an Aiden O'Connell. We're still getting the threshold of majority booms that we're looking for from the tight end spot. And if a Davante Adams does get traded, this only elevates his value that much more, in my opinion. 384 yards. He's only got the 1 touchdown. Once they start figuring out how to get this man in the end zone, he could take over like Sam Laporta did last year to finish as the tight end 1. I would not be shocked with a Brock Bowers. So right now, you keep or 100% buy a Brock Bowers. Yes, you're going to have to pay a premium to get him on your team. Completely understand if you got depth on your bench that you can trade away. Abso-frickin-lutely, you do this and go get yourself a Brock Bowers. Would you imagine just suiting up one guy on your tight end spot week in, week out and thinking, I don't even have to think about this guy, he's going to get me 10 points? Absolutely, Brock Bowers is in that category, and it should continue for the remainder of the season, barring health, of course. But there you have it. That is Keeper Trade as we enter week number 7. We got to revamp our squads. We got to continue to build our squads out for a long playoff push. I know it's still only the halfway point, but you got to be thinking early. Never give up, never quit. Make some trades, hit that waiver wire, and we can always jump back in that win column, no question. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments. Give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.